All right, so back to the 240. I actually need to get this thing rolling already because I haven't touched this car in about a month, it feels like. But I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting the rear subframe out. Once I get the rear subframe out, drive shaft disconnected and all that good stuff, I can work on that, and then we'll focus on this engine. I haven't put the front end back together yet just because I'm kind of unsure what I want to do as far as the bumper, getting it painted, getting it replaced. The lip is definitely getting painted. I've been dragging my feet on that, but it's getting done. But like I said, today we're going to worry about the subframe. I want to get that subframe out, stripped down as good as I can, or scuffed up, then pour 15. I'm not powder coating it. I was considering it, but I'm just against that right now just because I don't want to have to deal with taking it anywhere and waiting on somebody else to get it done. All right, both wheels are off. We're going to have to disconnect this. Well, I already did it actually. This parking brake cable has come off because this caliper has come off. Should be free now. There we go. And you're not supposed to let this hang, but I don't care about this brake line or this caliper, so it's gonna hang. This is gonna hang out there. If I need to move it around more, I'll figure it out now when I get underneath the car. But it should be this bracket right here, bolt in the rear, this one right here, and the same thing on the other side and up front, and then undo the shocks down here, and the whole thing should come down. Oh, and of course I have to disconnect the drive shaft up here, but we'll do that last. I'm gonna do everything else in the back first. And everything's juiced up. Alright, so I lied. I pulled the drive shaft off because common sense. I'm gonna be able to lower the subframe with the diff with the drive shaft still connected. So drive shaft's undone. Still got disconnected from the trans, but that's nothing I gotta deal with right now. And it's just like I said, these three right here, those three right there, that one, 2 shocks, and we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those down now. So I got the diff out. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna disconnect it or unbolt these arms and even the lower control arm. That way I can pull the whole hub assembly and all the arms away from the subframe itself. Pop these bushings out and get it cleaned up pretty good, and then I'm gonna go ahead and coat it. So I got everything unbolted. Now this should technically just slide out. There we go, see? Just like that. Now I'm gonna do this side, and we can start working on the subframe. All right, got everything cleaned up, but these actually have to be burned out. So I'm gonna grab the torch, I'm gonna heat them up, see how easily they burn out, and then I'll drill it out and then wire wheel it, and then the lip has to be cut off so you can fit the poly bushing in, because I did go with Energysuspension poly bushings. I did not want solid on the subframe. Going solid on a subframe is not necessarily a terrible thing, but I don't want that much NVH, which is noise, vibration, and harshness. I don't want to deal with all that because I do want to screw drive the car a little bit. And I mean, the poly bushings are a little bit stiffer than stock, so they'll be good for what I want to do with the car. I don't see myself ever having to change them to go solid unless I want to do the G-Tech setup, which raises the subframe a little bit and gives the car a better center of gravity, I guess. So as far as the instructions go, they're not really good. It says apply light heat evenly. There we go. Motherfucker. Alright, after you let it light heat for a while, it'll you can bang out the bushing, and then you can just rub a lot of this stuff off. There's some caked up in there. Yeah, the rears are easy. You just wire brush out the little bit of rubber that's left over, and you're good. The fronts have a shell. So the fronts have a shell that sits in here. So you got to be careful not to take out this lip, because this lip is there to hold the bushing in place. If that lip down there, that base has to stay there. And if you look, it'll look just like the rear ones. So these are the Energysuspension bushings, and as you can see, the front and the rears are all the same. So these instructions, my issue with it is right here it shows one ring and then this other kind of like collar or whatever you want to call it, and it's showing it as two separate pieces. Mine seem to have that as one piece, and it's connected, and then the collar doesn't overlap the top of this. Mine actually curves in, and this bigger piece curves over this little piece, if that even makes sense. So you can see that this little piece goes from top to bottom of mine, and then this at the very top curves over. It's not like a flat top. And now on the bottom side, I don't have these 6 tabs. Mine's one complete piece. So that's why I don't mind making the slight notch in it to bang that sleeve up, because apparently some cars from the factory already have these notches in them. So mine might be different. Make sure yours isn't like this. There's another video out right now that it does seem to be this way, and it is an S14. So this says 95 to 98, and mine doesn't like that. And mine's a 95 or 96. Regardless, mine's a Zenki S14, and it doesn't look like this one. It looks like what you guys seen. But you do know that all 4 of them are the same size, and you need to get all 4 of these, obviously, in or one in each hole. So as you can see, this fits down here just fine, and you see it has a little bit of play in it, but that's fine, because once it slides into this one, which goes in here, this will fit in there. It's a snug fit. If you were to take the shell out, it wouldn't be a snug of a fit. Once you get this in there, it'll essentially fit over top of this one like that, and it'll be a snug fit. That's how it starts off. Now there's a plastic ring in the center, and then there's a metal ring, and then there's another metal cup that's sitting inside this entire shell, or whatever the hell you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all this rubber off, wire wheel off a good amount of it, and then I'm going to cut slits into this. I'm going to bang it in a little bit, then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to cut a slit into the bottom, which is essentially this base. You can see right there, there's a slit right here and right here. So I'm going to slit it from the bottom so I can then bang it up from the bottom, because it has to come out through the top, not through the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do on this side now. Alright, so now you can see this is the plastic ring that needs to come out. It should be as simple as just banging on it. There's like I guess a crack there, or not a crack, but that's like the joint where it comes together. And it's just like that. You just tap it a few times and it'll bust it loose. You can pull it out. Just like that. Not sure if you can see it, but this is the inside of the bigger shell, and this is the smaller one right here where you can see it. That one's gonna have to come out first, but it's just a little bit of a pain because this one overlaps it. So I'm gonna slit it right here, and I'm gonna try to bang that one out first. All right, you can see already that this little piece of that inner shell just popped out. So that's what you want to do. I'm gonna slit the other side so the other side will pop out, and then we should be able to pop out the bigger pieces. There we go, it's already coming loose. Now we got the other half, the other part. Like I said, that one went right there, that one right there. So now what we got is this bigger section, and we should be able to start prying it out. Alright, so I had to continue this on to another day just because it was getting really dark, and I wanted to make sure you guys could see exactly what I was doing. So I know it looks a little mangled up, but basically I hammered in a flathead or a chisel all the way to the very bottom. And the reason I did that is because once it gets to the bottom, for it to get to the bottom, it has to push out that shell inward. And when it pushes that shell inward, you can then see from the bottom the shell poking out, and you can hammer up on that part of the shell and it will start to come up. So I got that far the other night, and then I left it alone, so when I had more daylight I could actually show you guys what it'll look like now. You probably don't have to bang it up this much, but I wanted to get it in and then cut out whatever was inside here. Like I cut as I hammered. So when I bent those tabs in, I cut it off, then bent a little more and cut a little more off. So you could probably get away without doing that, but it's just gonna get kind of crammed up in there, and you want to make sure you get whatever you're using to bang in here all the way to the bottom. Now if you get it, like if you get something in there, don't pry too much back and forth. Just kind of wiggle it out, because if you pry back and forth, you're gonna start snapping the tips off, unless you have some really strong shit. So if you have a really strong chisel or a really strong pry bar, it probably won't snap off. But both screwdrivers I used and one of my pry bars did break while doing this, so it's just a heads up so you don't break stuff. So now it should be as simple as me flipping this around and banging it out, and this shell will come up. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip it around and get that done now. So this is what I was talking about. You can see right here that inner shell is starting to press out or push out this way. It also helps that I slit the bottom right here, where I said earlier, if you slit this bottom right here, you'll weaken the bottom of this shell that's in here, and it'll give you room for it to pry out. So since I did slit it right there, it was able to bend easier so it could open up right here. Now, like I said, all I got to do is get something on this lip of it right here and bang it in, and this is the bottom of it. So when I bang it, this should go down and come out the top of the subframe. So I went back to the top of it. I know this might seem like a lot of back and forth, but I went back to the top to actually bang it a little bit more, since we got that little ring in the center completely out, this one. So since we got that completely out, did the same thing. I banged this until it bottomed out, banged it again until it bottomed out, and I went around the area that I had slit on the bottom side, and now you can see that it's opened up a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over again so we can get that out. All right, so this is what it looks like from the bottom. As you can see, I can fit this flathead up in there now, so you can see right through it. I actually gave it 2 little taps, and you can see that just went down in there compared to where it was before. So we have all this room now. You can see on the bottom side, that shell was about ready to fall out. So I'm just gonna sit the camera there, so you can see those few more taps are gonna get the rest of it out. And there you have it. The shell is out. Now I can flip this whole subframe back around, and you can see no cuts right here along the edge, because like I said, I kind of fucked up when I did this one, but that's the right way to do it. Before I go ahead and put the bushings in, I'm gonna go ahead and clean the subframe up and pour 15 the whole thing, because I want it to be a gloss black. We're also gonna do the diff bushing. So as far as diff bushings go, I have GK Tech bushings. So it'll be 2 for the ears and 2 for the diff cover mount. I'm guessing these are supposed to be self-explanatory, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume these go on the differential housing itself. So yes, this one will go in here or on the bottom like that, and you can get rid of these rubber bushings. So that's how these will go. And then the other one, this one, will actually go like that. I haven't looked into it completely, but I highly doubt it's gonna go like this. Pretty sure it goes like that. And yes, if you can see the way the factory one is set up, it is recessed on the inside, so this will go like that. Okay, so I ended up not being able to just crush this in and pop it out. They ended up being seized up in there, but I went ahead and just drilled a bunch of holes in the bushing around it, and then I hammered it out from the inside out. Ideally, a hole saw will be better, because it can just be one pass and loosen up the whole thing, and it should pop out easy. But I didn't have a hole saw, and I went ahead and just drilled it out, and then I just started to pop it out. So now I should be able to pop this out, slit a hole in this with the Sawzall, and then pop this ring out, and then get on to cleaning this thing up. Let's see if I can actually just pull this out. Yeah. There you can see it rotate. And that's it. So you know how I said I'm not gonna get it powder coated. I want to 415 it because I want to be on my time and I want to get it done soon. Well, I'm getting it powder coated. About to drop it off now. I did clean it up a good bit to 415 it, but I'm just gonna have it sandblasted and powder coated. I don't want to come back to it and do it again. I kind of want it to look good and be done once. I know powder coating is probably a lot for this car and for a subframe in particular, but it is what it is. It's gonna get powder coated, and that definitely breaks up this video. So this video will be up. Next video we'll be putting this thing back in the car. I'm not entirely sure what color we're gonna go with. Originally I was just gonna do a satin black, but then, you know, obviously I considered the gloss black because it looked good. But, you know, we might try something different. I don't know yet. We're still up in the air what we want to do. So I'm gonna load this up in the truck, take it down to him. But that's gonna be a wrap for this video. So definitely come back and check the channel out again to see what we do with it color wise and how it ends up looking when it's all said and done. I'll definitely go over me putting in the bushings and everything else. That way I'm your guinea pig. It's been done before, but a lot of people just don't document it the right way, or they cut these out. We know for sure these bushings fit in good. We just gotta throw these diff bushings in and we're good. So like I said, it's a wrap for this video. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe to see more and to help this channel grow. And like always, take care. Hope you guys have a good week.